All right, we are live, and today I have Robbie Lockie as a guest. We're going to talk about how to be effective and authentic in your vegan advocacy online without burnout. Maybe so. That's the headline. I don't know if I told you, Robbie, but we'll see how that works. So,
That's
Robbie,
great.
awesome. Robbie here is the co-founder and co-director of Plant-Based News, the world's leading vegan news site, and also plant-based health education platform, and many more things. I just researched you, and I've seen everything you've done before with creative agencies and stuff like that. But welcome, Robbie.
Thank you for having me. Great to see you, Adam.
So you run this news platform, Plant-Based News. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Plant-Based News is a bit of a strange beast. All began in 2015 when my good friend Klaus Mitchell had the idea that there needed to be something out there on the internet that covered the whole depth and breadth of the plant-based movement. Because when he first went vegan and plant-based, like everybody else, he was super excited about what was going on and like how many things were going on, but nobody seemed to be covering all of it. So he went about creating a YouTube channel, and he pulled in friends and family and all kinds of people to report on the news, and it became like a really fun thing that he was doing. And he actually was known as Klaus in the greenhouse, and he used to do it in his little greenhouse. About maybe 8 or 9 or 10 months later, him and I met at an event called Vegan Futures, and we became really good friends. He actually helped me move into this house here in South London. We started working on plant-based news together, and we actually formed the business or the platform itself in 2017. And then we were invested in by a Saudi Arabian prince, a vegan prince, Prince Khalid Al Walid, and he helped enable us and empower us to grow the platform to what it is today. So we quit our jobs and we focused on expanding it. And its focus really is to educate people to eat more plants, to live a healthier, kinder, more environmentally friendly life through just being more conscious about the kind of foods that we put on our plate, but also the products that we purchase as well.
So when was the, you probably said it, but what date was the launch of Plant-Based News as a platform?
Yeah, so early 2017. So I think around January, February 2017. So not that long ago.
That's amazing. So how has the journey been like coming to where you are right now?
The journey's been hard. I'm not going to lie. It's been a very, very hard journey because obviously what we've created is it's vast in its nature, especially with social media, and it involves connecting and sort of pleasing, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people on a monthly basis. We reach 60 to 70 million people every single month across our social networks and also our website. And the focus for the platform has always been about education, but it can be a real challenge because, we don't always get it right. We always have people who praise us, but there's also a lot of criticism as well. You're not doing enough of this, you're doing too much of that. So it can be really, really difficult to kind of please everyone. But at the end of the day, what we try to do is focus on the science, focus on the facts, and pull in experts and do our best to educate as many people as possible. It is a challenge and it can be difficult, but I love it and I wouldn't change it for the world.
So that, to me, that sounds like, first of all, amazing, and also that to me sounds like a lot of work and thinking and strategy that goes into deciding what to cover.
It does. It takes a lot of kind of focus because obviously there's so much stuff pouring in every day. We have emails and calls and text messages and DMs on Instagram, and it can be hard to get through it. We only have one writer for us and one part-time writer, so it's actually not that easy to get through everything, and it's a real juggle. But I'm hoping in the next 6 months, the next year or so, we can continue to grow and expand and grow the team. I'd love to have a team of 100 people working away, an office in New York and an office in Sydney and, PBN Asia, and just expanded to this big kind of
awesome,
far-reaching platform that reaches, millions of people, but also not just in English as well. We want to be able to localize into Spanish and French and Mandarin and Portuguese. So I think that's going to be really important. And
that vision is, to me, not so unbelievable vision at all, because next to what you are doing and how you're doing it, the the consumer behaviors are switching and more people are finding out about plant-based living and vegan lifestyle and stuff like that. So how have you, like, you've been you've been live for 4 or 5 years then? No, 4 years.
4 years. 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
And these 4 years have probably been the most novel years, most change in this years than any years before. How are you seeing the shift?
There's been a huge surge. I mean, it's been incredible. I mean, especially in the sort of, you know, in the UK, the supermarkets have just, I don't know how to describe it, but they've completely jumped on it and completely run with it. A lot of the supermarkets have their own vegan section with about, you know, 20 or 30 vegan products that they've created specially for the plant-based and vegan market. The UK has there's 66 million people in the UK, and there are 23 million flexitarians. So these are people who are actively reducing their meat consumption. So I think the UK is really at the forefront of the plant-based revolution. I think because it's a small country, it's very well connected. The cities are very well connected. We don't have infinite amounts of media like the US does. So we don't have like a super hard right and super hard left media. A lot of the media is sort of very centrist, and a lot of the centrist media are talking about how climate change is affected by diet. And I think that is getting through to a lot more people in the UK. I don't know what it's like in the rest of Europe. I know a lot of European countries do focus and are focusing on making these changes, and there is change coming. But yeah, in the last like 4 years, it's just been a complete rocket of, you know, rocket cycle. What's the word I'm looking for? Trajectory.
Yeah,
90 degrees up.
Yeah, I missed that word also. It's not that straight line. It's that everyone knows what you're talking about. Exponential growth,
absolutely,
right?
exponential growth. Yeah, that's the word.
So what's before I would love to talk to you about how to be vegan online, because that's such a huge part of people becoming vegan and realizing that they want to speak up for the animals and the injustice and the climate effects and the health effects and the social effects of animal consumption. And I would love to get into like what you've learned over these years, talking with so many people. I mean, it's not just reporting, it's also responding, right?
I've learned that when you first go vegan, people become very evangelical and very aggressive and very passionate, which is understandable. When you look at what's going on factory farms, and you look at the suffering that is happening right now with animals in the world, you know, and also to people as well. You know, animals are not the only victims of the animal agriculture industry. People are rightfully angry, but I've learned that when we encounter this lifestyle, I think it's really important for us to think about the message and how we deliver it. Because I think that when we try and force these views on people, they reject them. Most people reject them because, let's be honest, 99% of the planet isn't vegan. They have grown up eating, consuming, killing animals and seeing it as normal and necessary. And we have to find a way to get through to people. And I've talked about it a few times on Clubhouse about how I think that when we communicate this message is very much like, I don't know if anyone's seen the film Inception, but the idea of Inception is about planting a seed in the mind of another person, a seed of an idea. And the idea needs to get into the mind of the other person. But the mind, the human mind, has defense mechanisms built into it, and that you can't just plant an idea into a person's mind without triggering some kind of defense mechanism. And those defense mechanisms have served us for our 200,000 year history as human beings, and they protected us. So we have to find ways to get through those defense mechanisms. And the best way to do that and to open hearts and minds is to actually help people feel comfortable, make them feel safe, make them feel like you're a friend. You know, I'm not talking about doing it in a way that's like super calculated. You genuinely need to create a heart-to-heart connection with a person, help them feel that you genuinely have their interest at heart, that you're not trying to just ram something down their throat. Because I think when people trust you, those defense mechanisms lift, and then you're able to plant that idea, that seed. Because not everyone is going to take this idea on straight away. You might have a conversation with a person, you know, 6 months ago, and then like, you know, a year later, they call you and say, you know, that vegan thing you're doing, can you tell me how to do it? Because they saw another film or another friend mentioned, or their grandma went vegan and they were like, wow, grandma went vegan. Maybe I should try this. If my grandma can go vegan, maybe I should. And I think it's all about being mindful of where a person's at. Because, you know, let's be honest, not everyone might be able to go vegan straight away. A lot of people are struggling with finances, with money, working many jobs, and maybe have got kids. And the idea of changing your whole food culture is incredibly overwhelming to a lot of people. So I think we just have to be patient with people. We can't hold a gun to people's heads and force them. We have to be patient. And I always say the best way to change people's hearts is to cook for them or buy them food, buy them amazing vegan food, baked goods, cakes, biscuits, sweets. People are like, wow, this is vegan. This is interesting. How did I not know you could have vegan cake or vegan pizza or whatever? So I think the best way to people's hearts for me is through their stomachs.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I really love that inception metaphor to plant seeds. And I can definitely relate being a new evangelical vegan, wanting to share what I've seen with everyone and to like almost force my discoveries upon other people.
Yeah.
But I've also like come to realize that it's not only about speaking up, because that's helping me basically most of all, because I feel better about it. I don't have to carry all the burden, but also helping people, because I do believe that it's something that will enrich in people's lives as well. So yeah,
it does enrich people's lives, and that's what we have to get through to people, that going vegan or switching to a plant-based diet is genuinely a good thing to do. It's not about being better than anyone else. It's not about being a kind of, what's the word, like a perfect human, because ultimately there's imperfection everywhere. But the idea is to continuously be improving who we are as people and evolving. For me, it's all about evolution. We are evolving into something which isn't very good for our planet. We have become an invasive parasitic species. Human beings have invaded planet Earth. We have proliferated across the entire planet. We have destroyed much of the natural habitat of the world, cut down these incredible quantities of rainforest, irreplaceable rainforest, and we're losing so much of it because of animal agriculture, right? And if we don't change this, well, I mean, I feel like we're past the tipping point, and we could talk about that in detail if we wish, but I think that whatever's left, we have to protect it. There is less than 4% of the biomass on our world. That's the flesh creatures, animals, mammals, birds, fish. Less than 4% of it are wild animals, and that number is going down and down and down and down and down and down. Our children's children will grow up in a world where there are trees, cows, chickens, pigs, and humans, and nothing else. And is that the kind of world we want, where it's just like humans and farm animals and nothing else? I mean, I don't know about you, but if you've seen any wildlife documentary, like David Attenborough's documentaries, our world is filled with and teeming with so much beauty, billions and billions of animals, millions of species. But we're losing all of it, and I think that that is imperative that people feel in their hearts. But we have to be strategic, and we have to have a sense of urgency. And I think we can speak to people with a sense of urgency, but we still have to remain respectful and understanding, because we can't force people.
That's so interesting points, and also there's that whole sustainability to it also, and that ties back, I think, to what you said about planting seeds, because planting seeds is not being directly tied up to the outcome of what you're doing. You don't need to have that people go vegan or to change overnight. You're planting seeds and you're doing what you can and have your intentions. But then also being able to have that urgency. How do you balance it to keep everything sustainable, to have a strong conviction and to have a great passion to share and to have an impact, and also be sane and healthy?
I mean, it's a good question, and I battle with that every day. But for me, it's just remembering that 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 years ago, my entire life, I wasn't vegan, and I had no idea about any of this stuff, and I was completely clueless about the impact that I had as an individual on the planet around me. I wouldn't say I consumed mindlessly. I thought, I consider myself a good person, and I was aware. But I think when I woke up to the realization that I am part of this parasitic species, that, you know, it is my duty to try and transform our destiny, that I have the power to be able to connect with millions of people through these tools and through this technology. I couldn't just sit there and do nothing. I genuinely believe humanity is capable of changing. I know we can, but we just have to awaken enough people to create that critical mass for change, because ultimately these ideas, this inception, has to reach critical mass. We're getting there. It's not happening fast enough, unfortunately, but we are getting there. We have to try to kind of overwrite the selfish gene in human beings. We have to try and build up the genes of compassion and altruism within human beings. We have it. All of us have it. We're all born with it. But I think that our society that we're born into is rewarding selfishness. It's rewarding self-centeredness. Social media, even though it's an agnostic platform in some ways, it's also giving us more of what we want to see. It's giving us more selfishness, more individualism, more me, rather than we, right? It should be about we rather than me. And that is how we've got to where we are as human beings, through community, through ahimsa, through collectiveness. But we're kind of now going the other way. We're becoming so self-centered and selfish. I mean, one of the things that I always cite is a study that was done in the 50s with children. There was like 500 children or something, asked a bunch of questions about what they want to be when they grow up, and they ordered them all in order of priority. And the number one thing that children said in the 50s to be was to be kind. And that was like the first thing that they picked out of, majority of children picked. They redid the study, I think, in like 2017. And the number one thing that children wanted to be was famous.
Oh,
so it really shows you how our world, and even it's a small sample of children, but it's a slice of how we as people and our society has really like shifted, and the sort of self-centeredness has become almost, a pandemic, really. And I think we need to, with veganism, with ahimsa, with compassion, we've got to move back towards that way of living, because we're nothing without it, I think.
Are you hopeful?
Am I hopeful? It's very hard to remain hopeful in a space like this, because working in the media, you see so much of what is going wrong in our world, because obviously bad news it sells. And then there's also fake news and disinformation, which travels 6 times faster than true news, right? And so you see and you're aware of all this, and it can be very frustrating, because you think people need to know the truth, but the truth isn't getting to people. And in fact, there are people who are being paid to create mistruths, disinformation. They're being paid to create fake articles and fake websites and even fake videos with things like deep fakes and goodness knows what other technology are coming out to try and push people in certain ways or the other. And it's happening with the animal agriculture industry. They are paying people, PR people, to push the narrative that animal agriculture, that meat, eggs, and dairy are essential, that people have to have it, that you'll die without it, that you'll get sick, that the vegan community are a bunch of crazies, that the vegan plant-based diet is extreme, that it damages the planet, and there's all kinds of other crazy ideas about it. But these ideas are being pushed. So when you see all of this and you see the magnitude of it and how much money is going into it, it's very hard to be hopeful. But I am hopeful, because I know that there are enough people who care, and there are enough people who are driving this message and working day in, day out to get it to as many people as possible, to try to, perform inception to plant those seeds on millions and millions of people. So our species is waking up. Whether it's fast enough, I don't know. I'm not sure, but I do remain hopeful.
Yeah, and I wanna echo that. I truly believe the same things, and I wanna say that I think also, like, you have all these negative things and that's been built over centuries now, that's been weighing down on us, but also we see the possibilities when people wake up to new realizations and to have a new understanding and to be inspired to do better as a person and to share, and then that force is often a lot more stronger. I can just speak for myself. Before being whatever, when I've found better ways of being myself, how much more energy that is, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be veganism.
100%.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so what would you say to people that have maybe become vegan recently and want to start expressing themselves, start having an impact, doing something about what they've found out?
I would say that please use social media and please focus on the positives. There's obviously a lot of horrible things going on in the world. There's a lot of horror. And if you are going to share those horrors, please use them sparingly. That if you're going to share videos of animal suffering, please be mindful of other people. And I think, there is a desire to want to show people what's going on. And I think it's important, but we need to use it sparingly, because if we overwhelm people with those horrors, they become desensitized. They don't want to look and they turn away. They'll probably unfollow you or mute you on Instagram, for example. So just be mindful of that. Human beings they don't want to see suffering. Most people don't want to see the horrors of animal agriculture. So focus on food, focus on nutrition, show people the studies, talk about all the incredible studies, tell them about Dr. Michael Greger and nutritionfacts.org, tell them about plant-based news. We've got loads of educational content. We've got PBN food on Instagram, tons of recipes. And I think that, that's a great way to educate people, is focus on the positives. But absolutely do show them the truth, show them horrors, talk about maybe sitting down with them to watch Dominion, maybe telling them that maybe they could watch Earthlings, for example. So I think that it is a good way to do that. And obviously you've got up on the screen our website. We've got loads and loads of articles about everything that's going on in the world. You can search our website as well for everything you want to know about nutrition, about animal agriculture, about antibiotic resistance, about COVID and animal agriculture. We've done tons of documentaries on our YouTube channel talking about this stuff. So I think educating friends and family with content that is thoughtful is really, really important. And that's my thoughts.
Thank you so much, Robbie, for those wise words. And thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure.